Well, it certainly seems like Arizona is no good. And I'm saying that as we're winding down what is looking like it's going to be a 31-7 victory for the Kansas State Wildcats at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. And we're also talking about Avery Johnson and his return. But earlier tonight, UNLV beat a Big 12 team back-to-back weeks now. First, they beat Houston 27-7. After that, I'm thinking maybe Houston ain't that good. And then Houston damn near beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. And then I watched UNLV go into this game against Kansas, and I'm going, all right, I know what happened with Kansas against Illinois. Frankly, could not take care of the football. They were a better football team to me in that game against Illinois. Illinois' defense turned over Jalen Daniels, who can do all the really hard things, but is having a ridiculously difficult problem doing the easy things, like holding on to the football, not turning the ball over. If you really want to take a look at what happened with UNLV and Kansas, just look at the turnovers. UNLV, 0. Kansas, 2. And you know what? UNLV tried to give them this game. They tried to give them this game in so many different ways. Number one, they did not want to try to feed Ricky White the football until they started to feed Ricky White the football. It turned out Matthew Sluka is the problem. Ricky White was one of the 3 most productive wide receivers in the sport last year. It was Rome Odunze, right, being one of them dudes. And then we're talking about Malik Neighbors being another one of them dudes. Behind him is not Marvin Harrison Jr. It is Ricky White, who went for over 1,500 yards and first team all-he down there somewhere. That man had 3 catches for 4 yards because Mello Dotson and Kobe Bryant put that man on the chain gang. Put the shackles on that man. What does the children say? They put him in a seatbelt because that man wasn't doing nothing. But on the other side, I'm looking at this and I'm going, you know who's not very, very good? The Holy Cross transfer at quarterback. We've seen enough now. He threw for, I kid you not, 38.9% against the Kansas Jayhawks. 7 of 18 for 86 yards. The only thing he did well passing the ball was not throwing it to the Jayhawks. Okay? Could not trust that man to pass the salt. Could not trust that man to throw sand if he was standing on a beach. Could not expect that man to complete meat. You know what I mean? I was getting upset because I wanted this to be a Brennan Marion conversation, right? I'm like, damn, this is going to be the one. Brennan's on national television. They're off to a 2-0 start. They're looking at, and they are 3-0 for the first time since 1984, 3-0 for the first time in 40 years. And you got on the broadcast folks talking about, hey, look, Brennan Marion, that's a coaching prodigy. I went to school with Brennan, so I'm partial on this. I also went to school with G.J. Kinne at the same time, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Brennan knows for football, and he was not happy with Matthew Sluka on the sideline because you dragging him now. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them. And I'm watching this Kansas defensive line that felt awesome, felt great. Like they were stymieing everything it felt like Kansas wanted to do, UNLV wanted to do from a offensive standpoint. Running the football, it was not happening, right? They got a generous spot into the end zone. They got another generous spot on fourth and goal, on 4th and 1. Things were just coming up UNLV, right? Even the touchdown they scored going into halftime was a complete fluke. They didn't know how to line up. They didn't know what the play call was. Matthew Sluka just happened to throw one up, and his man went to go get it, and that made it a ball game. Meanwhile, I keep looking at UNLV going, put this game away if you can. And Kansas is like, nah, we're not going to let them. We're the better football team. And it felt that way. It felt that way. It felt that way. It felt like Kansas should have been running away from UNLV because that first series was money. Just gorgeous. Jeff Grimes running circles around Barry Odom. I mean, they were shifting. They had motions on. Jalen Daniels was seeing it. And when he wasn't seeing it, he was taking off and running by people. UNLV did not know if they were coming or going in the first half. Do you know that Devin Neal had 11 rushes for 96 yards in the first damn half football? And then almost as soon as they came out of the locker room, it's like Kansas forgot how to run an offense. They go from 27 plays of 233 yards to 30 for less than 100. They, for whatever reason, committed penalty after penalty, stupid mistake after stupid mistake, and did not look like a team that, A, expected to win that game, or maybe they did, and that was their downfall, right? Depending on how you want to view the second half. And they certainly don't look like the kind of program that is going to compete for the Big 12 championship. Not right now. Not right now. So Kansas is 1-2 after beginning the season ranked, beating up on Lindenwood. Then they go play what we think is a mid-pack team, midfield team in Illinois. Illinois beats them. And then they're playing what we think is going to be the class of the Mountain West in UNLV, but they get them at home. And you know what UNLV is about. You played them in a bowl game last year. It was a high-scoring one, but it was also filled with penalties, like 300 yards worth of penalties in that game, like 27. All you need to do was play straight up. They didn't do that. And I'm sure Lance Leipold is so angry and mad because he prides himself on disciplined football. And you know what? If they play disciplined football, I think that Kansas would be 3-0. But with Jalen Daniels back there, it just doesn't always feel like it's going to be as smooth as it needs to be. It is real feast or famine with Jalen at quarterback right now. And I wanted to see a whole lot of Devin Neal. I know that Daniel Highshaw was out, but just keep putting the ball in Devin Neal's stomach. Forget trying to throw the ball out to Luke Grimm and Lawrence Arnold. I mean, it's not that they're not good. It's that you can't trust Jalen to do that. Meanwhile, especially in the fourth quarter, Brennan had had enough of his quarterback trying to throw the ball all around the yard, and he just decided, you know what, we run the football. Either you carrying it or running back carry it, because I can't trust y'all to do nothing else. And that ended up being enough, right? So they win this game 23-20, and given UNLV's schedule, they have a really great shot to finish this season as the highest-ranked Group of 5 champion if they can run the table. We think that the team that runs the table in the Group of 5 is probably going to secure that 12 seed and that bid to the college football playoff. And if you're looking at the schedule, and I am, you'll see they get past KU, 3-0 for the first time since 1984. Barry Odom has done a tremendous job turning that entire program around. They were 29-74 before Barry Odom got there. Since they are 12-3 over the last basically 2 years in the regular season, 2-0 against Power 4 opponents, 3-0 for the first time since Randall Cunningham was quarterback. They went 11-2 that year, by the way. So UNLV's got Kansas, who they beat. They go into a bye week where hopefully Brennan gets into the film room with Matt Sluka, and they figure out one of two things. Either you're going to be the quarterback that rushed for 300-plus yards at Holy Cross last year in a single game, because he's that guy, or we're going to keep trying to make you into a passer. I don't think you should be doing that with that dude, but it's hard not to want to because Ricky White's over there going, I'm the best Group of 5 receiver in the country, and I can't get no service. I can't get no service. I am an expensive iPhone, and I can't get no service in the area. Not Verizon, not AT&T, nothing. iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I can't get nothing. And I'm sure Brennan's going, let me work on him. Let me work with him. And you know what? There's something to this because Matthew Sluka was on a really great Holy Cross team, right? His head coach goes to James Madison. He goes in the transfer portal. The programs that were recruiting him other than UNLV really wanted him to enroll early in the spring for reasons like this. Get to know the offense. Don't make stupid mistakes. We're all better off. He really wanted to graduate from Holy Cross. And UNLV was one of the only programs that was willing to let him do that and then join up in the summer. So now you got what you got at quarterback, right? You're going to take that into a bye week and you're trying to fix that. And then you're going to come out of that bye week and you got Fresno State, who was giving Michigan the what for and the how now. Now, Michigan is barely a top 25 team, right? And might put the money in the bag against Arkansas State tomorrow. We don't know, but it's a possibility given how Michigan has looked offensively. Fresno State feels like one of the tougher programs that they're going to have to face in the Group of 5, certainly in the Mountain West. Then they got a ranked Syracuse, potentially. I say potentially a ranked Syracuse. I rank Syracuse going into this week. We'll see if Syracuse gets into the ranking given what we've seen from some other programs already. This Utah State, Oregon State, Boise State over the next 6 weeks. They run through that. You're going to see UNLV ranked, if not this week, then the following week, right? Because they might actually get the bump just by going into the bye week like a lot of other programs. Because one of the reasons we're doing the Friday night show is that the slate tomorrow is pretty grotesque. It's pretty bad. It's not great. As a matter of fact, if you are paying attention to the top 25 and you only care about teams with rankings next to their names, you might call tomorrow. You might take the day off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not. We're going to be here doing the show, but Clemson got to buy. Iowa State got to buy. Louisville got to buy. Northern Illinois Notre Dame Slayers, they got a bye. Ohio State has a bye. Penn State's got a bye. USC's got a bye. Okay? So tomorrow, it's already kind of slim pickings. I mean, we talk about the best ranked matchup probably being Missouri and Boston College. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it. Ranked matchups are, we got Big Noon, number 4 Alabama, Wisconsin, but that's not a ranked matchup. Number 15 Oklahoma versus Tulane. Please don't have me doing no money in the bag segment about Oklahoma. I don't need that. I don't need that. Number 24 Boston College at number 6 Missouri, which I think could be good because that's the style to make fights. They're going to run the ball, play defense, Boston College, and then we're going to see if Brady Cook can do the chef thing with Luther Burden. And, of course, we had the ranked matchup today, or tonight, I should say, number 20, Arizona, and number 14, Kansas State. And that game wasn't ever in doubt. Not really. What we really got to see in that is the Avery Johnson show, the Dylan Edwards show, the DJ Gidden show, and the Joe Clanderman show. That defense is for real. And an Arizona team that kind of snuck into the top 25 this week because I watched Northern Arizona, and I'm going, hey, guys, Arizona might not be that good. But you know what? When we're doing the rankings, because nobody saw that on television, people are going to see you not put Arizona in the top 25 because they won that game. It is close, and they're going to look at you crazy. But now that they played on national television on a Friday night in a bizarro non-conference game between two Big 12 opponents, everybody's seen what they got, and everybody's seen that they can't set an edge for nothing. They cannot contain. Avery Johnson was getting to the edge anytime he wanted with haste. At one point, this is how you know that the quarterback is running all over you. The graphic at the bottom of the screen at Fox, right, usually shows you NFL, college football, what the quarterback stat line is. Like it might be 12-18 for 153. By the fourth quarter, they had changed that to 10 for 117 rushing because that's what Avery Johnson was doing to the poor Wildcats, man. That dude had 156 passing and 110 on the ground. Arizona couldn't do nothing with that, man. I'm sure Brennan was pissed because, on the other hand, if you are Kansas State, you know that they got this dude, Teratoa McMillan, who is probably going to be the first wide receiver off the board 2024 if things keep up. 6'5", go up and get it. And save the Northern Arizona game, he has showed out. He had 304 receiving yards against New Mexico. In this game, he also went off. He had 11 for 138. But, again, no TDs. Noah Fafita was constantly being just harassed. Dino Babers out there trying to give him something to go. 25 of 40 for 260 with a pick and a sack. And once they couldn't run the ball with Quali Conley, I did not, no. Arizona will not be ranked. No, Arizona's not going to be ranked when we get to our rankings on Sunday. They're going to have to do a lot more to show us that they are a Big 12 title contender because this was supposed to be one of those games that's going to tell us who's at the top of the food chain in the Big 12, right? Kansas State, they got a potential 13-14 matchup depending on what the rankings look like with Oklahoma State here in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited about that one because that's going to be, that's a tree-shaking game. For those of y'all that don't know, tree shaking is one of my favorite terms because tree shaking is when we going to actually fight and we're going to find out who's at the front of the line, who get to eat first, okay? Kansas State, Oklahoma State is going to be one of them games. I'm excited about it. And now that we know that Kansas State is not low-key but high-key good, we got BYU, Oklahoma State, and then they got Colorado. And they don't have another ranked opponent right now until Iowa State. But I think Arizona State has maybe I have opportunity to be ranked going into this week, if not the next week, because Arizona State is 3-0 for the first time in like 3 years, man. They won 3 games each of the last 2 years, and Kinne Dillingham already got them off to a 3-0 start with a great win on the road against Texas State, who was in the UNLV spot. The thought was if Texas State was able to beat Arizona State, that they also had a road to being that Group of 5 highest-ranked champion. But with the loss, it doesn't hurt them, obviously, in the Sun Belt, but it does hurt them from a optics standpoint because these non-conference games are going to be the ones that we most talk about when we talk about the playoffs and who gets in when we're measuring like for like, right? So if there's somebody on your schedule that is a common opponent, this is where it's going to matter. That's why you need to get these wins this last real week of non-conference, big-time non-conference competition. Again, I was impressed by what I saw from Kansas State, but that ain't nothing new. That really ain't nothing new. Like, one of the reasons that I was excited about this Kansas State game is because I think a lot of people saw what Avery Johnson was capable of in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But it also gave me a chance to see that, okay, Kansas State can compete on third down. Like, they went 7-13 on third down against Arizona today, and they were 6-20 going into this game. That's not bad. That's pretty damn good, as it were. And then the other reason I get to think about Avery Johnson in a much more macro is this is the man that sent Will Howard on his way. And I know this to be true. And this is where I think Ohio State fans are going to perk up. The thought is Will Howard got pushed out the door to make way for Avery Johnson. And given what you've seen from Avery Johnson already, you can understand why. Okay? But I'm also going to underscore Will Howard is likely the reason Avery Johnson was ready to take this leap as a sophomore in 2024, and that is how Ohio State fans should be looking at their quarterback situation right now, okay? So the way that this is, in a great story Pete Thamel wrote, ESPN gets to the bottom of this, but it is quite simply when they were able to sign Avery Johnson out of Wichita, Chris Klieman said, and I quote, "I knew we had a generational kid." Meanwhile, he looking at Will Howard after he gets him like, what's one less 30-6 to a redneck? You know what I'm saying? I got him. You want to pawn that one? Fine. I got one in the gun safe. I got one under the bed. I got one in the truck. I got one in the car. I got one in the attic. I'm pretty sure that I got a couple that I still need to pick up from the ex-wife. Okay? What's one less 30-6 to a redneck? That's how he looking at this quarterback room. Okay? Because he got Avery Johnson right there. So what sold him on being at Kansas was actually, Kansas State, I should say, is what he does in the state of Kansas. Those of you that ain't from there, this ain't going to click for you. Like, I get this from people that live in L.A. or New York all the time. They always want to talk noise. It's like, who want to live in Oklahoma? I want to live in Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma. Don't talk noise about Oklahoma. Didn't nobody ask you to do that? You know, it's like, it's Tornado Alley. Yeah, it is. Gas price is also $2.61. What you paying for gas? Huh? Where's everybody driving an electric car? You know, them cars that blow up. Anyway, you can see how it get out of me when people want to talk about where I'm from and where I live, you know what I'm saying? And then want to make it like it's not a big deal to be where you from. Well, that's what Kansas State was selling to Avery Johnson. They were selling, it's one thing to be, you know, big time at Oregon. He was looking there, right? It's another thing to be the big time dude that stayed home to make the program big time again. And I got to tell you, that's some powerful mojo. Okay, that's the root that changes everything for you. You know what I'm saying? That changes the whole family and how you looked at in the state of Kansas. And that they just kept selling that and selling that. So they get him there. And then as they're preparing to go into the season, they knew that the Avery Johnson was going to get some carries out here, or some time out here. By the way, sidebar, I can't say Avery Johnson's name and not see a black man playing point guard for San Antonio Spurs. I just can't do it. It's impossible for me. You youngsters, you will never understand what I'm thinking about when somebody says Avery Johnson. I got to click because I got to start calling with that boy what they call everybody else, Sunshine. You know, when they got Sunshine, they understood what they had. They had Ronnie Bass over there, okay? Avery Johnson. I just love the game of basketball, and my bad, Avery. I know I did a bad job. But Sunshine could play. And they knew we were going to get Sunshine to go in this thing, right? So as they're preparing this, one of the things that I thought was fascinating is how Will Howard mentored Sunshine. So they would watch film on Sundays after Saturday's game. Then they watch the 2-minute on Mondays. And then they watch Blitz and Pressures on Tuesdays. And Will Howard was teaching Sunshine how to prepare as a quarterback, as a veteran, as a leader. And that, I don't think you put a price on that. That's how we all draw it up. Think about what Alex Smith was able to do for Patrick Mahomes, right? That's a great way of looking at this. So after Kansas State finishes 8-4, Howard had a conversation with Chris Klieman in his office where he said, I knew something had to give. This is Klieman. And Klieman said he recalled Will Howard saying, I think what's going to happen is you're going to go with Avery next year. And Chris Klieman did not shirk it. He said, yeah, Will, he's going to be the guy next year. And so that sent Will Howard on his way. Now, it should be said that Chris Klieman thought that Will Howard was going to go to the NFL. I think Will Howard made a very smart decision to not just go into the transfer portal, but to come out at Ohio State. Because there's many ways that this could have gone, but I don't know that Will Howard is a first-round draft pick even now, but he has an opportunity to win a national championship at Ohio State, or if he'd have ended up at USC and won that job, I think that's been true too. And I think it's important to give Klieman his full quote on this. Will Howard and I have a good relationship, and we've always been honest with each other, and he knew that's what we had to do. He knew we had a kid that, we could have for 3 or 4 years, or we could have him or we had a kid we could have for one more semester, talking about Will. So we really thought that Will was going to go to the NFL, and it worked out well for both guys. It really did, because Will Howard is the starting quarterback at Ohio State. And while there are a lot of Ohio State fans that aren't sold on Will Howard, they think the guy behind him, Julian Sayin, is a better quarterback. It ain't that you're wrong. You're right. You're right. It's that you have a guy that can run the offense, who is mature enough to understand he is not the playmaker in the offense. He is the point guard getting the ball to the playmakers in the offense, and he is teaching your younger players, your younger quarterback room, how to prepare. So if Will Howard can lead Ohio State to a national championship, that's one thing. That in and of itself worth its weight in gold, right? If he can do that and put Julian Sayin in a position to do what Avery Johnson is doing right now, or Aaron Nolan for that matter, that's what you want. That is the perfect form. That is what you absolutely are going for. If you're drawing this up and this is my big grand plan, this is the grand design at work right here. And I really love that. I really do. And you know what? Avery Johnson still loves him some Will Howard. He was saying, look, we were really good friends, and that was really hard to see him go, and give him a lot of credit. He would say he deserves a lot of credit for how advanced I was mentally. Everybody knows the athleticism that the dude has. Everybody understands the sunshine can go out there and make it happen, make it do what it do, and make a broken play into one that you can win with. But I am also always kind of floored at how some guys are able to stick their ego down somewhere deep and go teach the guy they know is going to take their job. That's not an easy thing to do. That's a very, very, very difficult thing to do. And if nothing else, the humility that is shown in that, I am floored by. Like, that's always going to mean the world to me when I hear those sorts of stories. Okay? So there's a lot that you can unpack from that, but both Kansas State and Ohio State are in very good positions, and right now both are undefeated. So we know that Kansas State is for real in the Big 12. We think Oklahoma State is for real in the Big 12. We know Utah is for real in the Big 12, and we know that Kansas, at least right now, got a ways to go. And we know in the group of 5 is probably going to be UNLV playing what I think is going to be Boise State, for the opportunity to represent in the conference championship, or to win the conference championship and be the group of 5 representative there. I think it's a lot of fun what we've seen so far. And I can't wait to see where we end up, because now with UNLV in the mix with the new Pac-12 at work, it's funny because UNLV was conspicuously, to me, absent in that announcement that these 4 other teams are joining the Pac-12, but not UNLV and Nevada when you need 2 more. So apparently there's some politics at work that need to be, exercised. But I'm saying, man, somebody's going to do what Colorado was able to do in hiring Deion Sanders. Somebody is going to look around and say, the ground beneath us is changing. How do we make sure that we are in a great position to take advantage of this or get left behind? Colorado was 100% going to be left behind. That is not a program that gets to join with Utah, Arizona State, and Arizona, if not for prime. Full stop. You need the marketing. You need the event. You need someone to bring more than just winning on GP, right? On general principle. But the idea that you would be able to bring in a Colorado who didn't have an identity and now has one that is cloaked in prime, that was enough for Brett Yormark to go, yeah, they need to come too. And while they're coming, think about this. We're talking about the Big 12 in a way that we've never talked about the Big 12. A, 16 teams. B, coming from all over, like from West Virginia all the way out to Tucson. And talking about Utah being a Big 12 school. I'm looking at this and I'm asking the question of, okay, which one of these which one of these conferences is best? Because I'm looking at what I got down here, and there are 5 teams in the top 25 that are ranked in the Big 12. There are 6 that are ranked in the Big 10. There are 7 that are ranked in the SEC. But there are just 4 that are ranked in the ACC. Arizona State is 3-0. That was a program that was picked to finish dead last in the Big 12. Are they going to win it? I don't think so, not unless Sam Leavitt turns himself into a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. I don't know. That quarterback situation looks real sketch, and it's going to be Cam Skattebo, leading the way on that one. I just don't see Sam Leavitt as doing it. Maybe he'll be able to do something. We'll see, right? I look at what they have in Relief Brown. I mean, goodness, not just Cam Skattebo, but people forgot they got Jake Smith over there, just 2019 National Gatorade Player of the Year. They got dudes over there. They can make it happen. Hey, Xavier Alford had the play to seal it. The 40-yard landlord standing up. I've known Alford for some time. I really love that dude. But you're talking about an Arizona State team that was picked to finish dead last that is now 3-0. And the worst team in that league is probably Houston. And we just got done saying Houston gave Oklahoma everything it wanted and then more. And it's a team that got beat by, UNLV like it stole something. So I'm not sure where to put Houston. Willie Fritz can coach, but is it that Oklahoma is that bad or that Houston was that bad against UNLV? We'll find out something when they play Tulane, 2:30 Central Standard Time. And I should not be sweating Tulane, and yet I am sweating the hell out of Tulane. Tulane damn near beat this Kansas State team to mop the floor with Arizona. I am sweating Tulane. You can see it. I'm sweating Tulane. Anyway, only one of the 16 teams in the Big 12 is winless, right? It's just Houston. They're 0-2. Meanwhile, Florida State is the only winless team in the ACC. And there are no winless teams in the Big 10 or the SEC. Stand up Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying? Stand up Rutgers. Memphis beats Florida State. It's going to be real tough for Tallahassee to pull together on that, dog. Like, I already got Florida State fans going, I'll be shocked if we win because they've given up already, and I don't blame them. You start as a top 10 team. I thought you're a top 5 team. You get smoked. You get smoked by BC, and you got beat by Georgia Tech on somebody else's land, dog. You went up to Ireland on what was supposed to be a vacation and got beat like you stole something. It's just not a great look for them right now. And I'm looking around asking who's going to be able to make a leap here in this week where Georgia's going to play Kentucky. Okay. Kentucky's not very good. The only thing we have to say about Georgia is please stop being arrested for driving fast. Everybody else feels where they're going to be. Like Texas is probably going to mop the floor with UTSA. Okay. And I just got done talking to you about what we're doing as far as the bye weeks. But I'm also looking toward this is Ohio State's bye week. And if you got Ohio State on the menu, you know already what you were up against, and it ain't Will Howard. It's not really Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins. It's not really Emeka Buka, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, Mylan Graham. It's not really Caleb Downs, Cody Simon, Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, Tyleek Williams, like CJ Hicks. Ridiculous with Lathan Ransom. I keep going here, man. The roster's stupid. But the dude that you are planning on, the dude that you absolutely positively got to wait on, the one man that we all need to be very, very clear about is Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith got game. JJ to his peoples. And I can say this because you've now seen it. If you've been watching the man play ball, you know you don't want it with him this fall. You don't want it when JJ got the ball. I already mentioned the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, okay? That's not the Red Ranger. That's not the Blue Ranger. That's not the Black Ranger. That's the White Ranger. That's Tommy showing up, dog. Like, that man is stupid. Because if you watch what he's able to do with his hands, and you watch how he's running away from everybody else, the one thing you're probably going to do is go, all right, let's not let the true freshman wide receiver beat us. And you know what Ryan Day said? Yeah, you're going to have to know where he is. But there's no question what you got to do about it. You got to try to take him away. Problem with that is that presents other problems for you. And I'm going, damn, he know what he got. You going to go double up JJ, and Emeka going to be running free. Carnell going to be running free. Brandon going to be running free. You going to be so focused on taking away JJ that you going to get mauled by Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, dog. Like, I'm so glad that they showed that dude early because now everybody knows. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to we're going to spring him on the better teams in the Big Ten. No, don't do that. Show everybody what you got. It's the Barry Switzer mentality of playing football. Switzer would say, Nebraska show up, they're going to watch us practice. We don't give a damn. You know what we running. We know what you running, but you know what we running. We not afraid. Can you stop it? Can you stop us? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. And I love that. I love that bravado because that's where it feels like Ohio State is right now. They have bravado. They're going, nah, we know what we got. We ain't got to hide nothing. It's like the reason that I love talking about football is because styles make fights, and we're getting to a place in football where if you are not genetically gifted to play the sport, you don't get to play the sport anymore. You just don't. Not at the level that you want to play it, right? People are bigger, people are faster, people are stronger. So what do we do in those instances where we still want to play ball, where we create offenses and defenses that allow for us to still compete, right? So I'm an air raid truther. And I'm an air raid truther because that is made for short, slow people or short, fast people. Short in general, right? If you're big and you're fast, you don't have to run air raid. Air raid is about getting the ball up out of your hands, right? It is standing in front of that dude that's trying to kill the quarterback for 1 second. Let that man do what he got to do, run around, get rid of that football. The reason you can run pro-style offenses or pro-style defenses like what Nick Saban used to do from 2009 to basically 2015 is because he had better dudes than you. There was nothing to hide. He did not have to hide a damn thing. They would sit back and cover 7, which is something he created, by the way, which is zone, and say, no, we can close on anything. We don't have to simulate pressure, but we will. We don't have to actually blitz, but we will. We can sit back in a 3-man front, an odd front, and we will absolutely take you apart because I got Dean Milner, a damn linebacker, playing corner because he got that kind of speed. That's how Ryan Day and Ohio State feel to me right now. They can run whatever the hell they want to run. It don't matter. They just got dudes because they got dudes like Ford out there who is going to absolutely eat on whatever cornerback that is. Because defenses are a natural disadvantage. You don't know the snap count. You don't know the routes. I mean, football is an offensive sport, right? That it's built and geared toward the offense. That's why we all want to play offense. Wow, hell, I'm a quarterback. That's the thing. Who is going to be able to do something about that? Michigan was that last year, right? Now, stealing aside, the offense was still the offense and the defense was still the defense. So stealing aside, they're going to run the football. They're going to line up. They're going to pound it. Defensively, they're just going to keep everybody in front of them. That was all they were going to do. They weren't disguising a damn thing. They didn't need to. They didn't need to run shifts and motions. They didn't need to do what Brennan Marion is doing with the go-go offense, trying to create matchups and trying to manipulate you into the coverage that we want you to be in so we got a shot here. No. They ain't got to do none of that. None of that. So I'm curious to see what they do with this bye week, how they come out of it. They're going to play Marshall. They're going to beat Marshall like a drum. And finally, we get into Big Ten play and we start talking about some things. Last thing I want to talk about before we close it out tonight. The Pac-12 expanding has led to a couple of discussions that I think are interesting, but I want to make one point. The expansion alone is not enough. It's not. You were the Conference of Champions because USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, Stanford, you were not just good at football in instances. You were good at everything. I mean, USC has more national championships than it does Heisman winners, and it's got more Heisman winners than Oklahoma has Heisman winners and national championships. For instance, USC's got 11 national championships, 8 Heisman winners. Oklahoma's got 7 and 7. You know, that is who you were. Adding Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, San Diego State to Oregon State and Washington State makes you Pac State, not the Pac-12. However, if they can get back to this thing, the AQ qualifier bid doesn't necessarily get guaranteed. So what happens is the champion of all the FBS conferences with at least 8 members are eligible for one of the 5 AQ bids. But no league, Power 4 included, is guaranteed an automatic qualifying bid. And automatic qualifying bids are designated by the 5 highest ranked champs. So what that means is the 5 highest champs and the 5 highest Power 4 champs and the highest Power 5. Let's do this again. Power 4 champs and the Group of 5 champ, highest ranked Group of 5 champ. They're getting in. Period. Whether or not the Pac-12 is a Power 4 or a Group of 5 does not matter. That's the point that I'm making. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do we think that the Pac-12 is a deep enough conference to have a champion that's going to be ranked inside the top 4? Not given what we know about the programs. Because Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, SC, Washington, Oregon, they're Big Ten. Clemson, Florida State for time being, ACC. Miami, ACC. Think about the Big 12. Think about the SEC. What you are looking at is branding. What you are looking at is who do we expect, based on what we see with our eyes and what we know from the past, to be one of the better teams in college football. And what we have demonstrated over and over again in this sport is we don't give a damn about how undefeated you are. We don't. I wish we did, but we don't. So what I'm telling you is if Washington State is running the table undefeated with the Pac-12 championship, but the schedule doesn't run through Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma on the way to winning the Pac-12 championship, we don't care. We simply don't care. So it's going to be how do you schedule? Who's on the schedule? What do we think about who's on the schedule? And then what do we think about your conference? So again, to use Washington State as an example here, we're not going to be necessarily enthusiastic about you beating up on Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Colorado State, Oregon State. We're just not. Nobody over here is going to care. So you're going to need to either add some programs to that conference that we care about, which is a really tough ask because everybody is contractually obligated to stay where they are for the time being. And you're going to have somebody that can rise above it all, the way that Central Florida was able to do in 2017 or Cincinnati was able to do in 2021. And even then, I don't think you're going to be a Power 4 automatic qualifier because and be one of those that gets a bye. You'll be lucky to get in, like the Sun Belt, like the Mountain West. That's who you are now. You are relegated to being a Group of 5 team. It's going to be the Group of 6 now. That's all that is. All right. We are going to jump back in here tomorrow night, take a look at what has happened and what hasn't happened in the world of college football. But I did want to try this out, see how it works on a Friday night with a big game on a Friday night ranked matchup. If you like the channel, please subscribe to the channel. 106,000 deep over here. It's pretty cool. And we do live shows Saturday nights, 11 Eastern. We do live shows Tuesdays, 7 Eastern. Sundays, 7 Eastern. It's a good time. Deuces.